Hello and welcome back to another Pokemon ranking video. Today is one I'm very excited to go over, and that is ranking every Team Rocket member. And this is not from the games, this is strictly from the anime. And we've seen a lot of Team Rocket members in the anime, and they're all pretty different. Some of them we don't know much about, but some of them are really interesting. But I'm only including characters from the main anime and not the side episodes or movies. So let's get into the video and I hope you enjoy. Number 14 is Wendy. This character didn't do much, she only appeared in one episode. This was one episode where Team Rocket find the debt collecting Delibird. They find out they've been fired from Team Rocket and end up joining once again, with Delibird supplying them a new bill, with an extra smoothie added to the price, which turns out it was Wendy who was angry at Jessie for something that happened years ago when Jessie owed her a smoothie. That's pretty much it, she doesn't like Jessie. It was a funny moment, but we never see this character again.
Revenge is sweet, my dear Jessie.
Number 13 is Christopher. This guy appears in a very good filler episode where Team Rocket supposedly break up. Meowth goes to a noodle shop and starts making noodles with a guy named Christopher, who turns out to be a former Team Rocket trainee. The character doesn't do much. It was a nice bit of world building to show that there are decent people out there who tried to get into Team Rocket and now are doing other stuff, like cooking noodles. But that's all we know about him. Coming in number 12 is Gozu. Honestly, I can't remember this guy too much. He is a part of the Matori Matrix, and he was in the Necrozma arc in the Sun and Moon series, helping out with Team Rocket's plans. But this dude's design is awesome. He has an eye patch and a Mega Stone on his dog tag necklace. He's got a real military design going on. But I don't remember too much about him, and it's a shame he didn't return with Matori in Journeys along with his Mega Aggron. Number 11 is Pierce. This guy was really cool at first. He shows up and meets with Team Rocket. He's got these undercover vibe, his design is really cool, it just makes you want to see more of him. And we were supposed to see him again in the cancelled Team Plasma arc, so it's a shame we never really got to dive into who this guy was. The black and white anime started to give us new Team Rocket members early on, and it was refreshing. Also, this guy was voiced by Dan Green in the dub, which made him even cooler.
So you must be the new agent.
The name's Pierce. And don't forget it!
Number 10 is a combination between Tyson and Professor Sebastian. This is kind of cheating, but I'm going to put both of these guys here as they were on the same operation. They both appeared during the 2-episode arc at the Lake of Rage, where they were experimenting on Magikarp and caused the evolution of the Red Gyarados. Tyson was the brawn and Sebastian was the brain behind the operation. Tyson was pretty powerful with his 2 Fearos, but eventually he was no match for Ash and Lance, and then Sebastian was just this creepy guy in the background who talked with a very soft voice. But that's it for these guys. They were cool, they made this arc interesting, but I thought it makes sense to rank them together at number 10. Number 9 is Dr. Zaiger. Similar to Pierce, this guy was introduced early on in the Black and White series as they prepared for whatever this Plasma arc was going to be, and he was set to play another big role in that. But unlike Pierce, Dr. Zaiger was kept around for future Team Rocket focused episodes, which is why he's a little higher on the list. He made returns in Stopping the Rage of Legends arc, and then again in another 2-parter with the Caracosta. He just added an extra personality to the Rocket group, the goofy old scientist, and it was nice to see him return from time to time. Number 8 is Dr. Namba. This guy was pretty funny. He was another Dr. Scientist guy from Team Rocket, but he works closely with Butch and Cassidy rather than Jessie and James. We would only see him when Butch and Cassidy were around, and actually we've seen him appear in 3 different series, being the original series, Advanced Generation and Diamond and Pearl. Although the later 2 were very small appearances, he was good in the Lugia arc. He played the role of the main villain really well, ordering people about. You could tell he was the true leader of that whole operation. He was bossy and intimidating, and it was satisfying to see Ash and friends defeat him and escape his trap. Also, I remember, similar to Butch, they got his name wrong, and then he used to phone Butch and Cassidy to correct them, which was pretty funny.
Huh? Hello there!
It's Namba!
Number 7 is Matori. Matori has been around for quite a while in the anime, debuting all the way back in the last episode of the Diamond and Pearl series, and then she had quite a prominent role in Team Rocket's early Black and White days, where they were actually quite a threat and planned out their missions. She was seen in the background quite a lot, where the main trio received orders from Giovanni, but she didn't actually do much until Sun and Moon, where she plays a massive role in the Necrozma arc, bringing her Matori Matrix to Alola. and even before that arc we see her quite a few times. It was a nice change having someone other than the main trio and Giovanni actually do something, and then again she returned in Journeys with her Matori Matrix, so I'm pretty confident she's going to play a decent role in the series going forward. Coming in number 6 is Cassidy, and coming in number 5 is Butch, the forgotten members of Team Rocket. Butch and Cassidy, we haven't seen this duo since all the way back in Diamond and Pearl, and it's a shame. They made Team Rocket seem a lot bigger than just the standard trio. Having these two around gave so much more development to Team Rocket as a company. They would often be seen mocking Jessie and James and bragging about how Giovanni favours them, and it's such a shame that we haven't seen them in such a long time, because Team Rocket have been lacking for a while in my opinion, especially in X and Y and in Journeys now. They could do with some actual development with Team Rocket other than just doing the same old thing. But Butch and Cassidy were really good characters. I really enjoyed pretty much every episode they're in, especially the arc with Lugia, where they are the main villains along with Dr. Namba. I prefer Biff a little bit more than Cassidy, as the running joke with his name just makes him funnier, whereas Cassidy just always seems to bicker with Jessie. So Cassidy gets 6th and Bruce gets 5th. 4th place is Giovanni, the fearsome boss of Team Rocket. I was tempted to put him higher than one of the main trio, but it was a tough decision and I couldn't quite favour him over any of them. But the character of Giovanni is really iconic in the franchise, as he's the first evil boss you face in the games, and he always comes back. You always feel his presence when he returns, and although Team Rocket may not have a crazy goal as some of the other teams out there, Giovanni is still one of the best evil team leaders, and he's been around forever. He's one of the few characters that has appeared in every single series, and as long as we have the main trio, he won't be going anywhere. I love when he shows up because it's not that often, but when he does, it's done right. The Black and White Operation Tempest arc sees him actually travel to Unova and face down Ash and friends, seeing him actually battle Ash for the first time ever using his Persian. I just wish we got a bit more of Giovanni in action, but when he does, it's epic. Overall, he's just a really great character who I'm hoping to see way more of. Please, Pokemon Journeys, give us an answer for this.
It's been a while. Giovanni. I simply wanted to hear a friendly voice from the past.
So coming in 3rd place is Jessie. Jessie is probably the member of the main trio who's had the most development. Starting in Hoenn, she starts to enter Pokemon contests alongside May, and even though she doesn't win any, she still learns a lot about contests, and then she goes on to do even better in Sinnoh, winning her way all the way up to the Grand Festival and even reaching the semi-finals. She has done a lot despite having her own strange methods of going about it, and it can't be denied that she has been given the most development out of the main 3 of Team Rocket. Even in Kalos, she enters the showcases alongside Serena, and again makes it to the top 4. So I really like how they've given her so much to do, maybe a little too much in comparison to the other 2, but it's nice for her to actually have a purpose. She's 3rd because maybe she's my least favourite of the 3, mainly because of her personality. I just prefer James and Meowth's sense of humour compared to hers. She still brings that fierce and bossy dynamic to the group which is needed. If she wasn't with James and Meowth, then I don't think James and Meowth would still be Team Rocket members. I think they would have all gone straight and stopped trying to steal Pokemon. So sometimes she gives them motivation to continue with Team Rocket, and without her, Team Rocket wouldn't be the same.
All dreams come to an end eventually. And the end of ours is now. I'm out of here!
In 2nd place is James. It was a toss up between James and Meowth for the number 1 spot, but James is just such a great character. He's a bad guy who isn't really bad. He's probably the most humble and lovable of the whole group. You can tell he just loves being around Jessie and Meowth. He isn't really there for money or anything, he just wants to feel a part of something. He has a really great friendship with Jessie and Meowth, even though they argue all the time. And of course the proof is that James is rich. He doesn't need to steal Pokemon. He doesn't need to be in this evil organisation. He could simply just go home, marry Jezebel and claim a hella load of money. But that's not really his nature, because he's a kind-hearted person. Some of my favourite Team Rocket focused episodes are ones that are all about James. Whenever James meets a new Pokemon, it's usually heartwarming, and of course when he releases one. Also learning about his family and his little pup Growly, he just got so much going for him, along with his funny personality. If this guy left Team Rocket, who knows what he could achieve, but I know he'd do some amazing things.
Prepared for trouble?
Huh? Hey, it's him!
James! Make it double!
So coming in 1st place, my favourite Team Rocket member is Meowth. And I think everyone loves Meowth. I don't really see him ever getting any stick or abuse. I mean, he's a talking Meowth, come on. It was really interesting early on in the series to have a talking Meowth along with Team Rocket. It made me laugh how every single character we'd meet would be so shocked that Meowth can talk. We don't really see that anymore because Meowth is usually in disguise in public, but Meowth brings a different perspective to the trio. He can communicate with Pokemon, which is a really good ability, not used enough in my opinion, and similar to James, he doesn't really belong in Team Rocket. You could argue that all three of these characters shouldn't be working for a criminal organisation. They are too kind-hearted, and that's the same with Meowth. Countless times we see Meowth cheering on a Pokemon in need, such as Charizard or Chimchar. He supports his fellow Pokemon, and he knows the hardships that some Pokemon have to go through to be recognised, such as himself learning to walk and talk like a human, just so that a female Meowth would recognise him as an equal. We could call him the ultimate simp, but it took Meowth a lot of courage to go through with what he did, and the backstory is one of the driving aspects for him making the #1 spot on the list. I love whenever Meowth brings up his backstory, such as when he starts to tell Max, because it reminds us of how he still holds on to his struggles and remembers everything he went through. Meowth is a fantastic character, often the butt of the joke in Team Rocket, but he's also the brains behind Team Rocket. Without Meowth, things wouldn't feel right, and that's why he's the best member of Team Rocket, in my opinion.
Well, maybe Meowsy's looking at the moon too.
So that was my list of 14 Team Rocket members that have appeared in the main anime, ranked worst to best. Please be sure to let me know who your favourites are in the comments and why. Who do you prefer out of the main trio, Meowth, Jessie or James? I'm always interested to hear that opinion because it's something that's quite hard to choose from. They're all such great characters. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.